This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Rachel consultants are standing by. We'll take caller 9-844-999. Ola, you'll play profile this coming up in minutes. And we do have your headlines on the way 1 hour from now. First, quick check into Mike Hawk for some of the stories and headlines he is not working on.
All right, a new Asian restaurant just opened inside of a Whole Foods in Long Beach, California, and some people that think that the name is racist.
What is the name?
It's called Yellow Fever.
And he's gone.
All right, well, now here's my question. Are the owners Asian?
I don't know. I'm not working on it.
Because here's the thing. If the owners are Asian, shut up.
She's Korean.
Korean?
Yes.
Okay.
Then we're fine.
Then let it go.
I was working on that.
It's hard to say it's racist if the person who named it is of that race and does not find it offensive. That's you overreaching.
Exactly. An art museum in France just found...
Listen, just real quick. That said, I don't care about the yellow part. It's kind of like when Imus called the team nappy-headed hose. They don't call us nappy-headed. He called you hose, but that's not the part to worry about. So with this, I just feel like if I open an establishment for you to eat food... fever or any other malady is not necessary.
That's the term.
Welcome to the sickness.
And you know what the term means.
Yeah, I know what it
so
means. Still.
An art museum in France just found out more than half of its paintings are fakes.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks. Because France is supposed to be like the museum place, right? The museum capital of the world.
Well, you hire someone who's supposed to know what they're talking about, and guess what? Turns out it's kind of subjective, huh?
Isn't that where the Louvre is?
Yeah.
Yes, the Louvre. Paris.
Well, there's a lot. There's a whole world of that out there, right?
Oh, I'm sure, man.
Of the phony art and everything else.
But the thing is, look, even if every museum on Earth that throws up painting, if you put up fakes of all of them in every museum, there is not a person on this planet, based on the distance you have to stand, so even if you're an art expert, right, so you got to be 5 feet away, no one would ever know. No one would. It could be paint by no one freaking knows. Yeah. You could have painted over a Curious George airbrush you got at the goddamn carnival, right? If you tell me it's Picasso, I believe you.
A 42-year-old man in Vietnam recently showed up at a hospital with a 4-inch chopstick stuck in his junk. Stuck up his junk.
No.
Apparently, he claimed a friend did it, quote-unquote, for fun.
No, he did not.
During a heavy night of drinking.
They call that the unagi.
Yeah, barbecued eel.
Freshwater eel. Yowza. Hopefully
I'm thinking splinters.
Hopefully they were metal. That's what I was going to say. Hopefully they were metal.
What, from a chopstick to a chop?
Or one of those.
Hopefully they had the good ones. Or porcelain.
Finely factoried wood ones with the glaze on the outside of them.
Totally. If you have a good set of chopsticks,
then put them in your penis. Yes, I agree. If you have fine chopsticks, place them in the urethra of your penis.
You don't even need soy sauce. They're already salty.
Oh.
Yes. A company in California is now selling vodka made of San Francisco fog.
Oh, just stop.
Yeah, novelty. Don't haunt, Ted.
I mean, isn't that just rain or
it's water?
whatever?
Yeah.
It's water vapor that, keep in mind, sits at a much lower altitude than regular clouds, so that it's right above the dirty-ass streets that people pee, poop on, drive on. That's what I want.
See how you get that?
Get me water vapor that's touching the streets. Please put that in a bottle.
See how you get that wharf back flavor? Oh, yeah.
Tastes like sea lion.
Let it breathe.
Tastes like homelessness. I mean, come on.
Tastes like homelessness.
Like, the only people out in the fog in San Francisco are
like homelessness.
Right. It tastes like urine and armpit.
Tastes like runners and homelessness.
A wildlife photographer who recently won a big contest in the UK was disqualified after someone realized that he used a stuffed anteater in the photo.
A stuffed one?
A stuffed anteater.
Fake animals.
What is happening? Can't people just
fake
play by the
paintings?
rules?
Yeah, man.
It's insane.
I said nothing with the fake paintings, but when you dupe me with a fake anteater, well, now.
I'm angry.
What is going on in Europe?
Phonies, man.
Bunch of phonies.
You know what? The English is not even real. If you go to actual English, they're like, yeah, listen. If somebody lands here from Americas, do this kind of thing, right? They love it.
A 45-year-old man in Pennsylvania got a DUI last week after he was spotted driving with a 100-pound rock lodged under his car.
Under it? How would you be able to drive with a rock underneath your car?
I think you'd have to be drunk.
You'd have to be drunk, Miles.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you're just dragging the thing, sparks are flying, that kind of a deal.
Probably.
Haven't
Yeah.
you seen, like, occasionally, not much, but you see the guy just driving down the road. There's no rubber left on the tire, right? So they're driving like on
just
the
driving
rim
on
or a rim, and you go like, that guy is drunk. If there's not a cop
Oh, yeah.
behind you
Yeah,
going
that's
200 miles
fine.
an hour, like, there's a drunk driver.
There was a guy who
100
got.
pounds? That's
Yeah.
a massive rock.
You would have to really
You're
be
not
gassing.
carrying it, Ted.
You have to be gassing that thing just to get it going.
I mean, there was a guy who in his Prius hit like a cougar or something like that. Drove all the way home, didn't even realize it was still stuck in there. Which means he knew that he hit the doggone cougar, and he just kept on going.
Yeah.
Bad man. A
I just don't
34-year
see physically how you could drive a car with a rock
I mean,
that
if you
big.
got
Again,
stuck-
you must be drunk to pull this off.
A 34-year-old man in Orlando is facing animal cruelty charges after kicking several swans in a park while practicing his karate.
That's the excuse he gave.
I was practicing karate. They got in the way.
Relax. That should be perfectly legal.
Judo off the goose straight in the throat.
Were they geese or swans?
Did I say swans? I'm not working on it. I don't know. I don't care. Yeah, it's swans.
I think it makes a difference.
Swans, geese are the same thing.
Because here's the thing: if you have to explain it to kids,
it was
right?
Tai Chi, it
If
wouldn't
you
hurt nearly as bad.
If you say a goose, they're like, "Oh, that's not good." You say swan, they're breaking the teeth. Like, put it this way: if you kill a bunny, tell your kid you killed a rabbit.
right.
If you say a bunny, devastates them, like Miles.
That's right.
There's a photo going on viral on Twitter that might show what's happening to all your missing socks. A landlord opened up a bottom panel on a washing machine and found the compartment down there that is just packed with socks.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was a washing machine or a dryer, but it really is impressive how many just socks. Somehow there's a hole. The socks go through the hole. It's all socks.
You said dryer?
I don't know if it's a dryer or a washer.
No, this is important. I'm not kidding.
This is the washing machine.
Kids had 26 pairs of solo socks yesterday.
Oh, my
not
goodness.
26. They had 26.
Did you
solo?
look under the bed?
Dude.
Also look in the corner of the bed.
Look, mofo. We look everywhere, and it's just it is it's like a laundry basket full of socks that are on their own. And it's like, what the?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
So I want to pull apart the washer and dryer now. Like, look, maybe that's where they're at.
There's a weird
Not
glitch
just
with
kids either, man. I mean,
Oh
I
no,
do
they
it.
just had
Yeah.
26. I might have like 5 pair. Where I'm like, where the hell's the other one?
trolls. There's a weird glitch with Siri on iPhones. A man on Reddit just found out that if you ask Siri to define the word mother, then ask for a second definition, she'll say that it's, quote, short for mother, and then she will swear.
Oh. We tried it earlier. Couldn't get that one to work.
No? They must have
No.
fixed it.
I think they did.
Yeah, but it wasn't. You had we tried Robin's phone, and you had the dude voice. Does he have the same name? You just go by Siri, or is it like Ciro?
No, you have the Australian, don't you? Yeah, you have the Australian.
Hello, mate.
Apparently, rich women are now hiring shrinks to help them shop.
Jesus Christ, they have too much money.
The cost at least a few $100s an hour, and they help people find clothes that make them feel good mentally. Or
You've got
But
to be.
what- I mean, you can go get a personal. They already have people that'll do that if you're rich enough.
I would say that if you can't look at a piece of clothing and determine whether or not you feel good about it, no offense, you're an idiot. And that's all you are.
A woman went into a Popeyes in New York earlier this month and ordered their $4 meal, but apparently she got it confused with the Wendy's $4 meal, which includes a drink. So when she didn't get a drink, she, of course, smashed the store's front window with a chair.
She lost.
Oh, she went off.
She picked up a chair, threw it right after she picked up some kind of like paper sign, and that didn't work. Then she moved on to the chair, just smacked the living
But
out of it.
like, it's not their fault, man.
It's not, but in her defense, I generally think of a meal deal having a drink.
Yeah, I will give you that.
Right?
Should
She
have a
wasn't
drink.
getting a meal deal.
She was getting like the $4
meal deal, but
Yeah,
it
But
didn't
she
come
was
with a
at
drink.
the wrong place.
Right, that is correct.
Well, wait a minute. I thought the chicken
Wendy's
joint.
has.
She
Wendy's
thought she was
has,
at Wendy's.
Wendy's has the drink. Popeyes doesn't have the drink.
She was not at
realized-
Wendy's.
But she was still ordering a combo.
It was yes, it was.
But I thought
the
she
one
was ordering the
one
Wendy's
restaurant
combo was her problem.
One restaurant that combo came with a drink, and the
No,
other one
I
it
fathom
didn't.
that. That was my point. I just said generally, if I order a deal like that, I would expect a drink too.
Something in
yeah,
Australia
yeah, I see.
actually smelled so bad it forced the evacuation of a building, and we totally didn't cover this earlier today, and I will cover it 1 hour from now.
Thank you, Mike Hawk. We appreciate it. Headlines are coming up 1 hour from now. First, the game is on.
The Men's Room presents Profile This.
And Stephen Throwhill, can you please tell everyone how Profile This is played?
I sure can, Miles. It's a simple game where we share with you a real-life news story, something that happened right here on planet Earth. earth. And as you listen to the story, based on the stereotypes you believe to be true of people and the decisions that people make, we'll ask you what it is you think makes the story a story. Hello, John. Welcome to the men's room.
Liquor and whores.
Liquor and whores. All right, John, you understand how this here game is played?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Let's go back to May of 2017, where a driver climbed behind the wheel of his Tesla S60 and headed off down the crowded highway at about 40 miles an hour. But he wanted to relax, so he switched on the autopilot function and then climbed over to the passenger seat for maximum comfort. But after kicking up his feet and putting his hands behind his head, he left both the steering wheel and the foot controls entirely neglected. Keep in mind, he has his feet up on the dash and his hands behind his head. As you might imagine, other drivers snapped a few pictures of this, and unfortunately for him, his seat switch was in fact caught on film by a fellow driver who passed him on the highway. Well, as it turns out, after an investigation by the court, he pleaded guilty to dangerous driving, which is kind of ridiculous because technically he wasn't driving. But he's been banned from the highway for 18 months and is required to perform 100 hours community service. And Tesla says, look, we provide cars with an autopilot function, but it's not infallible. In fact, the guy that testified in court in this case said, look, we need a fully attentive driver. It's not designed to replace the driver. There still needs to be someone behind the wheel and ready to make corrections in the events of an emergency. So my question for you is, do you believe that this man who kicked back in his car, feet up on the dash, hand behind his head, do you believe that he is black, white, Asian, or Jew?
Man, that sounds comfy.
It does sound exceptionally comfy.
Did it say where this was?
I don't have that.
Okay. What do you think, Ted? This sounds white to me driving a Tesla.
Yeah, I'm with you. As soon as I heard Tesla, I kind of thought white. And he's like really relaxing. He's got a lot of faith in technology.
He's real relaxed.
Yeah.
And he's got his hands behind his head. That's a white guy move.
Yeah, I feel like black people don't trust technology so much.
Nah, it's tracking our ass, man.
You want to go with white final answer, John?
Yeah, I'm going to go white, guys.
We'll find out if he was black, white, Asian, or Jewish next.
That was a tease.
You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
Profile this. We have a driver in a Tesla,
Yeah.
and he switches to auto drive, and then he decides basically to jump into the passenger seat. Put his hands behind his head, his feet up on the dashboard. He pled guilty from not operating his vehicle. This is so ridiculous. I don't even know what the hell you call that. He's banned from driving for 18 months for not actually driving his car in self-driving mode. You have to be in the seat. You have to.
Yeah, but technically, I mean, look, he pleaded guilty to dangerous driving, but he couldn't, I wasn't driving. I was in danger on the road, bro, but I wasn't driving, so he could not have been dangerously driving because the whole problem is that he wasn't even behind the wheel.
I guess he is known as the operator. There's got to be some way they got him on that. You know?
Yeah, the problem, dude, just say guilty.
Well, you were
Just
the
say
operator until you jumped into the passenger seat.
But John, we asked you, did you believe this guy was black, white, Asian, or Jew? And you went white.
Oh!
Sorry. Asian.
Oh!
Really?
Yes, and diddly do.
Okay.
Must be an E40 fan.
I'm not tracking. I'm sure someone thought
Is
it
that
was
a
funny.
model?
Well, no, he's kind of ghost riding the whip.
Hey, can I give a quick shout out?
Oh, no.
Yeah, sure. Go
ahead,
for it.
whatever.
What the hell?
I want to give a shout out to Z. Ted Smith. I'm sorry to hear that your sweet old Grandpa Vinger's leaving Arsenal Football Club.
Oh, that's all right. He's been running into the ground anyhow.
Wow, Ted.
Oh, man.
Way to throw the
Harsh.
support behind the old man.
Now for all TV news all the time, it's time for TV Time with Ted.
And now,
That's fine.
because your pathetic life is confined to countless hours in front of a talking box,
Armageddon.
the Men's Room presents TV Time with Ted.
Speaking of sports, let's start with some sports.
Okay.
Sports traditions you guys like. Weird ones, funny ones. Let's say,
Opening day of baseball season always seems like,
Yeah,
and the
that's
fact that they did it, on one day this year, I thought made a big difference.
Yeah, University of Tennessee, right? Every home game, they run through that tee. Except one time, a few years ago, because there was thunderstorms. I'm not bitter. They run through that damn tee for like 40 straight years. Not that day. But they
That's
always,
one game you went to?
Yes! There's thunderstorms, the one game I
Like
went
the
to.
one game in 40 years.
And everybody was like, they always run through the tee. I think it's the first time in 40 years. All right.
Let's just go.
Right. There's great traditions, right? Especially college sports have a ton of them. You go to LSU, you have the Tiger Walk.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of that kind of stuff.
Old Miss, they walk.
Right. Old Miss has the Grove.
UCLA, you got the Crip Walk.
Right. You go to a Yankees Red Sox game, the tradition is getting a fight.
Right. Get stabbed. No, that's San Francisco. Go to a San Francisco Oakland game, get stabbed.
So there's a lot of things. So one of the weirdest one is hockey in Detroit. They throw an octopus onto the rink. All right. Now, I read once why they do that. I've forgotten. I think maybe like 8 championships. Back in the day, you had to win like 8 games to get to the championships. The octopus has 8 tentacles. So it was like, throw them out there. So,
Where the hell you get an octopus in Detroit?
Man,
at the wharf.
That's what I'm saying. But still, you think about it. You do all the
yeah, but
math
now
on that.
it's
That's
business.
fresh water down there. You know.
Yeah, but
still.
it's big business now. Like there's a surge in octopus
absolutely.
orders in Detroit.
Yeah.
And the octopus is like, well, if you're going to kill me, definitely do it from Detroit.
So the Nashville Predators, right? They're a newer team in the NHL.
Let me guess, they release actual predators onto the ice.
Well, sorta. People have started throwing catfish on the ice, right?
That's their thing. They
That's
can
their-
get
it's
them. They're
Tennessee.
available.
I'm
At
sure
least
there's a ton of catfish.
At least it's local.
So the Tennessee Titans offensive line, they were at a game. You come back from a commercial break, and basically they're beer bonging through a dead catfish.
Oh. And there's the offensive line, the Tennessee Titans, helping stoke the crowd. Marcus Mariota, along with the guys who protect him. Not sure catfish-flavored craft beer is ever going to take off.
Listen to the crowd, though, man.
You can watch this video at the Measure Facebook page. It is awesome. Mariota looks like he wants no parts of it.
Of course.
And it's just the offensive line, right? So one brother has already taken his shirt off, and then it's just a giant white dude, and the beer is just going through the fish. It's not really getting into his throat. But then he opens another beer with his teeth, because he's holding the dead catfish. Don't worry, no catfish were harmed in this. The thing was previously dead.
You know what I like about it, though, man? You can say whatever you want, and I'm sure, the Titans will put out a statement and all the BS that goes with this, but, listen to the crowd, right? They were happy as hell. And you could tell the moment the dude started chugging the beer through the fish, because the volume goes up. Let them do it. Have fun with it.
Yes. To this day, there was a sports reporter in D.C. for a minute named Ken Brew, all right? The only reason I remember Ken Brew...
Because it's Brew.
Right, and he came out at we always have concerts, big summer concerts, whatever.
Sure.
So he came out for this one station's concert, and he was drunk. And he said, hey, I got a beer. I hope everybody's got a beer. Well, to this day, that man hadn't worked in D.C. in 20-some years. Me and my brother would be like, I wonder what happened to Ken Brew. He seemed really cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing. If I'm a hockey fan and a Titans fan, and the offensive line is over there power chugging light beers through a dead fish, I'm getting fired
I'm
up.
cheering.
Yeah, heck yeah.
We used to have a guy who did the Ravens broadcast. I don't believe he does it anymore. And I cannot remember his name, but he was the color guy for these games on the radio. And this dude was openly drunk on the air every time they called the game. So the straight guy, the play-by-play guy, he's calling the game. Here's what it is. And this guy's the game went on. Getting more and more descriptive, more open about what he thought about Tom something.
Art Donovan was hammered a lot,
Yeah,
but it wasn't him.
but you
It was
knew he
another
would be.
guy.
No, it wasn't him. What the hell? Tom something. But this.
Mabe or no?
You'd listen to him and he's just like, that was a terrible throw. That's the worst goddamn throw you can throw in the field. Who's he throwing to? How do you know he's not? And this is the broadcast. Every week. Here he is. But people loved him because.
That used to be much more popular. I remember there was a famous quarterback that played for the Colts, right? Johnny Unitas.
Yeah.
So people, even if you don't know the Baltimore Colts, you know Johnny Unitas' name. So that guy you're talking about, I can't think of his name, but he was friends with Unitas.
Right.
So one time after a game, Johnny Unitas had died and passed away a few days before this. So that guy, this is when I started in radio. So I was running the post game show, right? And it just
See, you're not even listening to this anymore.
But they're at a bar and they have microphones that attach around, kind of like a pop band singing,
Right.
or like
stick that goes around.
Yeah, and all you could hear was this. Because he kept taking sips of his drink.
lifting up the.
And our mutual friend Stoff was like, Yeah, I think that's his glass hitting the microphone.
And it's just nothing you can do. Because you'd hear the other brother, come on, man, tell Tom he's got to cut down on the drinks. And then he just makes some snide comment like, apparently I'm drinking there, man.
I think his last name started with an M, but I
think
cannot
it did.
remember either.
All right, we're talking a little bit of football. A great story. I think it was, I don't know, a few months ago I was in here going on about Shaquem Griffin.
Yeah.
Now, he played at the University of Central Florida. Mm-hmm. He has a birth defect, so he only has one hand. All right? He's a great player. I saw him play in Central Florida, had a great year. They were undefeated. Some people call them national champs, whatever. But also, he had a great game at the Senior Bowl. He then got invited to the Combine. He did well there. And then, funny enough, he ends up getting drafted by the Seattle Seahawks, who already have his twin brother Shaquille on the team. So you're going to have two Shaq Griffins, and Shaquem was fired up.
It was tough. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, seeing all them guys picking in front of me and just falling back and knowing that, you know, I did everything I was supposed to do. But, you know, it was in God's hands, and, you know, I'll wait all over again for me to have the opportunity to be back with my brother. And for everybody who picked in front of me, for everybody who doubted me, you know, they gonna really feel who I am. And I'm not going to let no price or, you know, no pick define who I am. But they will know who Shaq Griffin is. They're going to know who both of us is. And I promise you that.
Right? I mean, the guy's made it to the NFL with one hand. Like, when he makes a promise like that, I'm like, I believe him.
I don't doubt him. But I would say this. They're one of the few identical twins you can tell apart.
Yeah?
Yeah. One's got one hand, one's got two.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
That
So,
way.
that helps.
I was like, dude, like, I don't know. When I see them, they look pretty close.
When they stood side by side, 'cause I saw one of the press conferences, right? I mean, they're identical twins, and they look identical. But I'm like, okay, in this case, I can tell them apart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I grew up with two identical sets of twins, and it was tough there for a while. And then as they got older, it started to get easier. But yeah, for a while.
Is it because they did like different haircuts, so they get their own personality, or you got used to them?
Yeah, because early on, their parents kind of dictated their game, their clothes,
Your clothes are the same, your haircut's the same.
And then by the time middle school came around, they started to have their own individual identity based on the music they liked, and the, you know.
I do feel bad for twins. Where like, look, if you have twins, say it's two boys or two girls, and if you name them like John and Larry, I go, okay. Your parents didn't crap out on you. When it's like, well, we wanted to name him John, so we named this one John. 35 seconds later, Ron. Because, like, look, one of you got the name that your parents wanted to name a kid.
I mean, they went Shaquille and Shaquem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Shaq.
Well, who came out first? Then you know the name they wanted.
Right. Whoever was born first, you got the name your parents actually wanted to name you. And then whoever was second, you got whatever was close.
Another amazing thing about that story that I didn't know till I was watching some of the draft was his twin brother Shaquille, I want to say, had a full ride to University of Miami. And then they wouldn't take his brother, so he said, all right, I'll switch. Like, I'll
I
not
heard
take
that. Too. That's crazy, man. But that's family.
Yeah. Especially when you grow up and your childhood dream is to play for one school.
You know what I liked was, did you hear any of the press conference with his mother, right? So it was, saying like, hey, man, and everyone loves this story, right? Like, you put in the work, bro, and you are a solid player. There's no question. And they say something to his mother like, wow, man, just to have one kid in the NFL is amazing, but, you know, both kids are in there, and, you know, was it hard for him when he lost his stand? She said, look, in my house, there was no excuse. I was like, wow. I mean, she was straight up like, I fully expected him to do this, because she's like, yeah, he has one hand, but in my house, there's no excuse. And I was like, I like her, man. Like, yeah, you got one hand. Pick up your room.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, you could tell that household was run. These kids.
And if you didn't have two hands, you would pick up your room with your feet.
You goddamn right. I get a feeling mom was like, I don't care. I ain't saving money on gloves. Go pick up your room.
I just need a glove. One glove.
Well, I got to buy two. Pick up your room.
It was a Bob Marley song.
Right.
One glove.
I was just thinking about Chris Rock's character. Let me get one rib.
Right.
Let me just get one glove.
Right.
That is weird.
You can't buy one glove.
No.
That's what I mean. So
you can buy a
like,
baseball glove.
Sure.
That's it.
Yeah,
All other gloves come in pairs.
Golf club. Buy a golf club. That's the only one I think of. And maybe baseball gloves.
Damn it, now we're saying this. You're right. You could buy a lot of gloves just one-handed. Can't
just
you?
if you want your kid to wear a baseball glove,
the kind that you need for
it's
warmth.
cold outside. Everyone else wearing gloves. He's got a baseball mitt on. He's got an oven mitt.
No, like batting gloves.
Yeah, you can buy
They're
them.
expensive.
They're not going to keep you warm.
And they sell one by one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying if you're cold, like just put on the batter's glove.
Can you guys think of something that happened 34 years ago you're still upset about?
34
years
ago that I'm still upset about.
No. Anybody? I mean, Mike can't. He hasn't reached that age yet.
Yeah.
How old?
I would have been, 14?
Yeah, I'm trying to think 50.
Well, some people are still upset about the Karate Kid.
About what about the Karate
34 years after the movie came out, people find it troubling because Daniel won with a crane kick straight to Johnny's face.
Sure.
Even though the kick probably would be illegal in a tournament like that.
What about sweeping his knee? Didn't they sweep his knee first, right? They didn't say crap about that. They did it twice.
Well, in the new YouTube series, Cobra Kai, they're going to address this.
Okay, thank God. Because if you care enough to carry on that argument, you're going to watch this show.
There are a group of people out there.
I knew a decent amount of people who would probably watch Cobra Kai. I have never heard this theory till today when I read this.
No, but there's people that are complaining that the Karate Kid from 34 years ago, the kick that sealed the deal, would not be permitted in national competition.
Yeah, I don't know how much people really have thought about this, or this is just they're just trying to get people over to their YouTube series and watch Cobra Kai.
How about just the idea that what's his face's character would have picked up that chick? There's no way.
Ralph Macchio?
Yeah, come on.
I feel like if you kick the crap out of the big dude, you could get a hotter chick.
Okay, you could, but that was at the end of the movie. He was kind of getting her on the way, and I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that a chick looked like that liked his ass.
Yeah, that's fair. But,
Right. That's the unbelievable part. That a man who had to wash his car and painted a fence somehow came out a black belt and goddamn karate.
It still looks the same. Still looks good after all these years.
Wasn't that always one of the things about, that's unfair about, TV and movies? Is you
can train through a montage?
No, how, homely-looking dudes get, these super hot women. But, you never see a TV show or a movie where it's the opposite.
Where it's true?
Where it's the guy is super hot and the woman's not as attractive. But for some reason, probably because a lot of the shows are written by dudes, most of the shows, right? I mean, even look at cartoons, right? Lois is way out of Peter's.
The Flintstones.
Yeah, the Flintstones. But you know what I mean? Lois is hot. It's just a cartoon. I don't want to be weird.
Betty Rubble, the Rubbles, man.
Yeah, Barney Rubble, though.
He's not a great-looking guy.
That seemed a little more on track.
But than Fred?
Yeah, Fred and Wilma, man, that was a mismatch.
I don't know, man. I think Barney was a little out of his league,
I can't remember.
too.
There's been a couple actors out there that
There's some people that, look, if you did the Pierce Brosnan story, I'll leave it at that.
You know what? I was going to go there.
He comes to mind first.
Yeah,
he's a very good-looking
in real
guy.
life, you'll see it more. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, that's just one of those kind of bad things about Hollywood, right?
No, it's not going to have it in a role.
Right, so when you bring up Ralph Macchio's character, of course he got the hot chick.
But think about someone like Pierce Brosnan, where, he did the...
I love Kevin James, but let's be honest.
He's not getting Leah Remini.
When the King of Queens, right, when that show starts, she is just,
not only that, but the whole thing, not just the connecting on the kick, would the kick be legal? You're right, he wouldn't be with that girl. All this stuff. So, the whole thing
Give him the kick.
Right, exactly. Give him everything.
Yeah.
Give him the trophy. Give him the kick.
Give him a sex scene if you need it.
That's always the other theory about the Karate Kid, is that Danny is kind of the pain in the butt in that whole thing. Or he actually starts a lot of the stuff.
He does.
I don't know, man.
So just mind your own business, man. Goddamn. You got your ass beat on the beach because you're worried about other people's problems, man. Goddamn. Just people do things, all right? People have arguments. And we all know, if there's a domestic and it's just a couple arguing because that's what couples do, don't get involved. But you decide to get involved and Blondie beat your ass.
Yeah.
Your friends didn't say anything. You know why? Because the boyfriend-girlfriend. Just let them have their problems because that's what happens in relationships. But no, you got to go over there and be all Ralph Macchio about it.
I like her.
Yeah, so what?
I'm just kidding. But I like her.
That tells me boys got problems. Man, you don't even know her. You saw her 30 seconds ago.
Colin Jost and Michael Che. I like the way from Saturday Night Live's Weekend Update, also the two head writers of Saturday Night Live. They've been tapped to host this year's Emmys.
Oh, nice.
Which isn't that shocking. You see a lot of SNL people end up hosting these award shows and this and that. Especially, it seems like if you've worked the desk at Weekend Update on SNL, you end up hosting these awards.
Talk shows,
you know how to deliver
shows.
Information, right? You know how to deliver information. You know how to write information. You know how to edit yourself. And as far as a host goes, you can follow cues, all of that stuff. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Tina Fey and Amy Poehler when they host their shows, or Seth Meyers, they're all kind of from that same cut.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Tina Fey, that's who I was thinking of, because I want to say they actually hosted the Emmys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
We went on.
Thank you, Tim. We appreciate it. Mike's got your headlines coming up in minutes. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. Now, let's see what's happening in the real world.
All right, here we go to Oregon, where 2 deer are walking around with arrows in their heads. Meanwhile, a Missouri woman pleads guilty for having drugs and a loaded weapon from where she spreads. Down under, a fruit smells so bad, 600 clear out of a Melbourne University hall. We stay in Australia, where oldest known spider has its last and final crawl. And a cat that speaks Mandarin finally caught after a week on the lam at JFK. It is time for your headlines.
Now, it's time to hit the headlines. Here's Mike Hawk.
All right, our top story, we go to Australia, where something created such a terrible smell that it forced an evacuation of the building. In the campus library of a local university, a smell resembling a gas leak seeped through the AC system and concerned staff and students enough that they actually evacuated the building. Crews with gas masks came into the library to investigate, but all they found was a rotting durian fruit in one of the cupboards.
I've never heard of this thing before today, but good God.
I don't know how anybody got started eating it. It's giant and spiky. It looks like a porcupine rock, and it stinks. Who says let's crack it open and eat what's inside?
It stinks. It might taste good, though.
Hungry people.
Yeah, the guy's starving to death.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's the same way, right? Like, who picked up the first lobster and was like, let's eat this?
Yeah.
That's the second guy. The first guy got his lips torn off.
Well, the guy that waited 2 days to cook it, then it stunk more.
Yes. Around the world, in the UK, a man actually was banned from driving after he pulled a stunt on the highway. We talked about him during Profile This. The man was in his Tesla, which has an autopilot feature, and he actually switched into the passenger seat while the car was flying down the highway. The stunt was filmed by someone in another car and served as the evidence needed to charge the man. He has had his license suspended for 18 months and is required to serve 100 hours of community service.
Yeah, I like how they put it. They're like 100 hours of working without pay. Like, yeah, it's community service, man.
Working without pay.
I mean, they make it sound horrible, you know.
Like your whole holiday is going to be spent.
I think it's still impressive that he moved from the driver's seat to the passenger seat.
It's one thing to do that, but just this level of confidence that he leaned the seat back, put his hands behind his head, feet up, like, damn.
Right?
He must have done it before, and it worked out, and he thought, you know what? I'm not doing this commute anymore. I'm just going to let
Tired of it.
I bought this car for a reason. It's what I'm doing.
Man, I don't care how advanced autopilot gets. I don't know that I can be that confident.
I think that anybody who sees him is the one that's scared. He's obviously not scared.
Yeah,
but
he's cool
anybody who else watches this self-driving car goes down the street, for the first few times, you are going to be freaked the hell out. It's like the first time you see a self-driving car. It's going to be freaky.
Right. There's just people in the backseat screaming. Sad day for arachnid lovers. The oldest spider on record, the lovingly named number 16, was sadly killed.
Number 16.
Number 16 was sadly killed by a parasitic wasp at the spry age of 43.
A 43-year-old spider.
Got stung by a wasp. All that time, minding its own business. Then it goes out to cut the grass, steps on a wasp, game over.
Mm-hmm.
I did not realize that spiders could live that damn long.
I didn't realize that we were actually counting how long spiders live.
Well, they track a few, obviously. So this is one of the ones that scientists have actually been tracking.
The female trapdoor spider had been studied at Curtin University in Western Australia since she was born in 1974.
Actually, it was just a daddy longleg. Her nickname with the guys was Trapdoor.
Heyo.
Jesus.
You ever seen a trapdoor spider?
I mean, documentary, sure.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it is. So I'm like, if they were bigger, that'd be you.
That's right. Eight-legged freaks proved that.
That's right. Hey, I forgot about that movie.
Don't do it, kids. A pair of deer in Oregon are stumping the nation. Authorities are still trying to track down, tranquilize, and help 2 deer that have both been shot with an arrow. One of the deer was hit in the body near the neck, and the other was actually hit in the head.
Jeez.
Both deer are still walking around normally and living normally, despite the fact that they have arrows sticking out of their hides.
Okay, so they're not quite living normally. The other deer are like, yo, man, you going to tell them? You want me to tell them?
So they're just shooting him to shoot him without actually trying to kill him?
No, that's a kill shot. That technically should be a shot that would take down a deer. And that's one of the things. They're like, we're looking for the people responsible for this. Like, they could be hunters with valid license.
If you put it in
these arrows could have been in there for a while. Well, if they're still living with them.
Here's the problem with that, Miles. It says, please say the arrows aren't a kind used in hunting.
Okay, then forget everything I just said.
So it says someone is either an exceptionally terrible shot or intentionally maiming wild deer. So I think it is somebody, yes, just going out to hunt these deer, but they're using the wrong arrows. Okay, so I think it's somebody who doesn't have a license.
You've got to have a compound bow to stick a You know what I mean? Just stick an arrow through somebody's neck.
I think it's just somebody going out in their backyard shooting deer with bows. The week-long fugitive search inside of JFK International Airport has finally come to an end. Yes, Pepper the cat, who has been on the run inside of JFK for the past week, has finally been caught. She initially escaped from her owner while on their way to their new home in China. She was finally caught
I ain't going to China, man. Look, I've heard the rumors, brother.
Yes, exactly.
I ain't doing it.
She was finally caught when her owner's friend came to the airport with cat food and began to call Pepper by her Mandarin name, and she finally came out and was recovered.
It's like taking a gambler. We're going to live in Las Vegas. Don't worry.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're going to cure you of your gambling problem. Don't you worry.
I can't figure where a cat could hide inside of an airport.
Man,
I mean, I understand that JFK is huge, but cats like to go under things. They like to creep into things, and I can't see that many nooks for a cat to hide inside of an airport.
I had a cat in an 860 square foot apartment years and years and years ago. There was a period for 10 days I physically could not find the cat, but the food kept disappearing. The litter box had dude, I honestly, I have no idea where the cat. It was in my place. I didn't see it. I have no idea. Cats can hide in. We could have a cat in your clothes, and that thing can hide.
Think about the luggage tram system in an airport when you walk in there, Mike. You can just go right underneath those little rubber flappy things.
Yeah,
go.
True enough.
You know what I mean? And then you're in a back area that you don't. Who would know? You know.
There's a lot of people walking around. Nobody's going to grab the cat.
I don't think you're going to be the generalized areas for the most time, but I bet you're back in the. You're working in the back scenes. You know,
but there's people there before they sneak in. But then again, they take risks to get into those spots too. So never mind.
Yeah, airport's pretty well busy all the time too.
In Malibu, California, parents are concerned with their teenagers' social media addiction that they're actually sending them to rehab. One particular teen faced such severe anxiety and depression from social media that he turned to drugs.
Jeez. Ooh.
He says that he's left rehab with a sense of power. He went to rehab for the social media addiction, not for the drugs.
Oh.
But he went to a rehab where social media and phones are not allowed.
Do all the drugs you want. Just don't get on Facebook.
That's right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, how did he find drugs in any rehab?
Because it's not that kind of rehab.
All right.
It's
well, I'm not saying
social media
that he
rehab.
did drugs while in rehab.
I know.
My bad. All right. Sorry.
Bet you he did.
But it would
we got heroin over here just in case you're feeling antsy.
If they had drugs in a rehab center, that would give you good reason to want to go. You know?
Yeah. I'm going to rehab, dude.
Oh, no way. They got drugs in rehab?
I'm there.
That's it for your headlines with that. Mike Hawk is out.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it. We'll see you next time for the Drunken Charge. Ryan Castle in the Sit and Spin with some songs that have been policed by the Grammar Police. The return of Men's Room Rules also on the way.
Yes, indeed. It is all true, but in the meantime, we be all up out this bitch. So until next time, please do what you do best. And for Aletha's sake, stay beautiful.